CA across cultures, conversation analysis, critique, application to pedagogy, CA and teaching and learning, conversation analysis, CA across cultures. CA studies of talk across cultures can provide the basis for comparison of L1 and L2 norms, with its potential for application to pedagogy. Argue that CA may offer a broader conception of interlanguage pragmatics than the current model, where interlanguage pragmatics is limited to the single speech act as its unit of analysis. CA can offer sequential organization. As first example of how this might work, Paltrage of 2005-2006 or 116 reports as a study by Bill of 1992 of workplace English involving French and Australian speakers of English. The Australians in the workplace in question were frustrated when, in response to their greeting of "Did you have a good weekend?" In this example is not a normal way to open a conversation for French speakers, and that it was interpreted as a real request for information. This example shows how VPPS and their corresponding SPPS can differ across cultures. This is the second example, the result of a monography by Cheng of 2003 contrasting Hong Kong Chinese and native English speakers of English, and using a CA framework also demonstrated differences in how these two groups perform certain sequences. Cheng had 5 major findings in the conflict management situation she studied. It means if you have your conflict management of that situation, which is the native English and the speaker of English, you need to study first in able to understand or what is all about. Conversation analysis. First, HKC employed a greater number of instances of a more elaborate redressive language in their disagreements than did the NE speakers. Second, HKC responses to completement range from no-verbal responses of a continuer to outright rejection of the completement. Third, HKC prefer a one-at-a-time model to turn-taking, while the NESS favored more developed, more overlapping of turns. Fourth, HKC were more likely to initiate topics than NESS. Fifth, HKC preferred an inductive style of sequencing information as compared to the more deductive style of the NESS. When we say conversation analysis is an approach to the study of social interaction, embracing both verbal and non-verbal conduct. In this situation of everyday life, CA originated as a sociological method, but has since spread to other fields. CA began with the focus on casual conversation, but its methods were subsequently adapted to embrace more task and institution-centered interaction, such as those occurring in doctors' offices, courts, law enforcement, helpless educational settings, and the mass media, and focus on the nonverbal activity interaction including gaze, body movement, and gesture. Next, critique. CA work is extremely demanding of the researcher. it is very time-consuming and labor-intensive from initial transcription, which is a prerequisite for analysis. Through the various phases of analysis itself, it is also extremely complicated and requires extensive training in concept and techniques before it can be used effectively. It means critic is somewhat formal word that typically refers to a careful judgment in which someone gives an opinion about something. Can refer to an essay analyzing a literary or artistic word, but can also sometimes imply a more casual or personal opinion. So this is my explanation about critic. So when we say critic or criticism and review overlap in meaning, criticism usually means the act of criticizing or a remark or commitment that expresses disapproval, but it can also refer to the activity of making judgment about the qualities of books, movies, and etc. Next, application to pedagogy. This is the example of application to pedagogy. Mark has highlighted, for example, the interactional differences between teacher-fronted and small second language interaction. So, for example, in my area of specialism, there are sections that are easy to teach and natural to learn. By selecting a diverse approach to my teaching, I maximize student learning by appealing to their learning preferences. Other sections are more complex and challenging to both teach and learn, and as a result, require that I fully utilize pedagogical principles in order to ensure student learning is maximized. CA and teaching and learning. An appreciation of the principles and practices of CA can develop awareness on the part of teachers of the nature of talk, which is target of teaching of speaking and listening skills in both first and second language contexts. Teaching and learning, the target of this, it is the listening skills both first and second language contexts. Conversation analysis, to understand and produce social action and their sequential context, to take turns and talk in an organized fashion, to repair problems in speaking, hearing, and understanding, to co-contrast social and discursive identities through sequences, organization, action, interaction, and semiotic resources. It is also to recognize and produce boundaries between activities, including transition from state of contact to absence of contact, and transition between activities during continued contact. Wong and Waring of 2010 highlight the relevance of CA findings in 3 areas of instructional practices: repair, task design, and management of participation. 2007 summed their discussion by noting that 3 is now a growing body of SLP classroom methods and activities which can make use of CA result in order to provide the interactional focus we are advocating for SLP materials.